So I'm back, everybody, and I'm reviewing games yet again. So this time I'm starting with another franchise that I loved as a young kid and still love now. And yes, I will finish the Sly Cooper reviews at some point, but don't bother me, I will get around to it when I do. Anyway, the Ratchet and Clank franchise is great, and it's something I have a ton of nostalgia towards. Unfortunately, the footage here is from the Ratchet and Clank collection rather than the original PS2 games. This is because when I was young, they either broke or were sold for newer games. Sorry guys, you're gonna have to deal with the botched graphics of the collection. So yeah. Anyway, to show my love for this franchise, I had to review the games, and I had to review the original trilogy. And where better to start than the original Ratchet and Clank. Alright, so the story starts out with a Lombax named Ratchet working on his ship. Now, what is a Lombax, you ask? I have no idea, but it's not the strangest thing we've seen on any 3D platformer, so who cares? Anyway, we are then shifted to a different planet, where we see this robot named Clank, who sees something horrible on an infobot and flies off the planet to get help. Of course, the other robots and flyer ships find out what he has seen and fly after him and shoot at him. Clank is then shot down and crash lands conveniently on the exact same planet as Ratchet. Ratchet then finds Clank when Clank tells him that Chairman Drek is trying to make a new planet for his species because their planet is dying due to overpopulation and pollution. All he wants from other planets are their resources, and he fails to leave out, or he fails to give the information that this will destroy their planet as well. This is obviously a threat to their galaxy and what Clank saw on the infobot. Clank wants to go get help from Captain Quark, the so-called superhero in this game, and says that he will get Ratchet's ship working if Ratchet helps him find Captain Quark. Of course, Ratchet agrees to this deal, and then you go off and explore many worlds looking for Quark and stopping Chairman Drek's plans in the process. So this is a pretty good story with a dick main villain that you want to see brought to justice from the moment he is on screen. Well done, Insomniac. This is a pretty good story and a great story compared to other 3D platformers. I especially love the way Ratchet and Clank's friendship grows and develops throughout the game, as there are parts where Ratchet and Clank get extremely pissed at each other and even hate each other for a while, only to realize what true friendship is. That makes these characters really relatable and like real people. It's awesome. The character interactions in this game are great as well. Every cutscene is funny and entertaining, with some memorable characters to fit the puzzle, like the plumber, who is in all 3 games, and his cutscenes are funny as heck. He is a really awesome guy. Now, the comedy is not quite as good as the sequels, but it's still there, so no need to take it for granted. Now, to talk about the good stuff, gameplay. Ratchet and Clank is really only a platformer on paper. I mean, you do platforming, I wanted to say, but most of the time you're shooting enemies with guns and weapons, making this game, as well as the sequels, more action-adventure than 3D platformer. The weapons are the best part of the franchise, but not necessarily this game in particular, because the weapon lineup is not as massive or over the top as the sequels. There are your basic guns, your blaster, bomb glove, flamethrower, a glove of doom that shoots mini robots, a gun that turns enemies into chickens, the suck cannon that sucks enemies like a vacuum and shoots them out like rockets and blows shit up. Yeah, you know, your basic stuff. Of course, you can get access to all of these weapons by characters or your vendors that are on every single planet. These vendors will also refill your ammo with the price of bolts. Bolts are the main collectible of this game, as you collect them everywhere. They are in boxes everywhere. And when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. They are a lot. And I swear, you just want to break every single box to get them. I mean, I don't know about if anybody else is out there does this, but in my subconscious, I have to break every single box in sight. I cannot help myself, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Anyway, There is one gun in this game, however, that I have to mention, and that is the Rhino. The Ripia, a new one, is supposedly the most powerful weapon in the galaxy, but I never got it because it's 150,000 bolts. Now, I did say that bolts are scattered and are pretty easy to find and are everywhere, but there are nowhere near as many as in the sequels, and it is really hard to get bolts. This 150,000 bolts for a gun is insane. It could take you a couple complete playthroughs to collect that many bolts without buying anything. And that's impossible because you have to spend bolts on certain parts to move on in the actual story. Now, other than that gun, you also have your wrench as a close melee weapon that you can, smack enemies with and knock them out. You can also throw this wrench, but I would not because you can't move until it comes back, which means enemies can hit you and possibly send you to your death before it comes back. It's kind of upsetting. The game does look tremendous, however, and this is a complete side note, but it looks terrific. Every planet looks so amazing, is completely different from the other, and has a different feel to them, as well as soundtracks for each one. And I have to say I love how Insomniac did this, because when you enter a level, you jump off your ship, it gives a huge view of where you're about to go. Awesome. I mean, futuristic is such an awesome thing for creative minds, and clearly the people at Insomniac Games are really creative, because these games rock. Ratchet also controls great, making the game easy to play through. Each jump that I had to do for platforming, I never felt like I was going to miss it due to the controls, which is cool. Other than your standard platforming and shooting with Ratchet, there are also a few times where you control Clank, as you control other robots, I almost said robots, with your mind. And this is really awesome too, and you also do different platforming stuff with Clank, and mostly puzzle solving, but it's really cool to use these different robots. You also control a gigantic Clank. He's giant, and you use him for giant boxing matches with other robots, including the final boss. Now, it's not the whole final boss, but it's part of it, and you just box out with these guys. It's so cool. There's also a part where you play as Ratchet alone that is complete, pure platforming goodness, which is awesome. There are also another collectible in this game that are completely optional and you do not have to get, and they are gold bolts. These are usually hidden in complete hard or puzzle solving platforming places that you find. And every time you find them, they give you cool upgrades once you've gotten enough. And every single time Ratchet does his cool stunt where he spins the bolt on his finger, it's just awesome to watch. Now, for all the great things I've mentioned here today, you would think I have no complaints, but I do. Other than not being able to move after you throw your wrench, time also does not stop when you're changing weapons. So, don't plan on doing that with enemies nearby. Once you get the gravity or magnum boots, controlling can feel clunky and hard. You also can't use any weapons while using them except your wrench, which is so annoying because enemies will shoot you at a distance and you can't stop them. And now for the really major annoyance. There is no strafing or lock-on system in this game. That's unforgivable. This is a game that makes use of guns and special weapons, and when you can't strafe, it is really frustrating to use guns. There are times I died because I'd be shooting at an enemy, and of course it wouldn't lock on, so I would just end up walking away from him, my camera would turn the complete other direction, and I would get shot down. That is so annoying. Of course, this was fixed in the sequels, but it should have definitely been here. There's no excuse for that. Other than that, this game is actually really good. This game is still worth a buy and really hasn't aged too bad. I honestly really love it. This game is just sadly a case where the sequels completely improved the core gameplay and overshadowed the original. If I were to rank this game out of 10, I would give it a solid 6 out of 10. For its great humor, great controls, a good story, and fun character interactions, but lack of strafing and cheap ways of dying bring down the score. But that's enough of this game. Time for a change. Tune in next time when I review the sequel, Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, which, just to warn you, it's my favorite of the series. Just saying. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and hope you guys give a thumbs for me up. Thumbs up for me. All right. See you guys later. Bye.